Hello, everybody. You've tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers with the Indianapolis District 52 Public Information Office. We'd like to thank the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids for their continued support of the Indiana State Police Roadshow. Tom Trial, our behind the camera man, putting us on YouTube every week. We thank him for his continued support. And we'd like to thank Trooper Aaron Pfaff for being here today. Aaron, thanks for coming in. Is this your first time?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate you coming in and talking to us. Aaron is one of our motorcycle units for the Indiana State Police, and I don't know if we've ever had anybody in from the motorcycle unit or not.
I don't believe so.
All right. This is great. This is good. This is going to be an interesting topic that we're going to talk about here then. And tell me a little bit first about what got Aaron Pfaff interested in becoming a state trooper.
I always wanted to be a police officer. Pretty much my entire life, and I just always thought I'd end up working for the sheriff's department in the county I grew up in. And
where was that at?
Hancock County.
Okay.
And then put in for the state police and got hired and said, we'll see how this works out. And I definitely made the right choice to stick with state police because there isn't a better. I've worked with many different agencies in law enforcement, and there isn't a better agency that I know of than state police, Indiana State Police even. So
how long have you been a trooper?
8 years.
Okay. And did you work for a law enforcement agency before or do anything before applying for?
I was in the Army. I was in the National Guard for 6 years, did a year overseas in Bosnia, and then I worked in the Hancock County Jail before I came to the state police.
Where were you assigned when you came out of the academy?
Originally Indianapolis.
All right.
East side, Marion County.
Okay. And then worked how long on the road there?
I spent about a year and a half in Indianapolis, and I transferred to Pendleton because that was when Hancock County was still with the Pendleton Post. Spent 6 months working the road there. Then I went to the meth suppression section, doing meth investigations for 2 years, and came back to the road, back assigned to Shelby County, Indianapolis District, and then Marion County day shift, east side, and then motorcycles came open and applied for motorcycles and have been on the motorcycles this is my third summer so about 2.5 years on the motorcycle team.
Okay, well, good. So the motorcycles, how did we get back into motorcycles? I know that's where we started at.
We started in 1933 on motorcycles, and, of course, the road troop spent all year long on a motorcycle, stuffing newspapers and magazines in his uniform in the winter, trying to stay warm. And then they went away for a long time, and roughly 2004, I believe, the motorcycles came back to the department. I don't know the number that we started out with in 2004. We have been as high as 25 motorcycles in the state, and now we're down to about 18. And it's to get a scope of the number we got, I think we're capped somewhere around 12 or 1,300 troopers in the state is what we're supposed to be capped at.
Right, a little
and
over
there's
13.
only 18 that ride motorcycles. So
pretty unique bunch.
It is.
So we had Harley Davidson, we had Indians. What are we on now?
We are on Harley Davidsons right now.
Okay,
is where we're at. We're on Harley Davidson Electra Glides. It is a very good motorcycle for the job. So,
and it's probably, I'm sure, manufactured for police use. It's got special.
It has a few things on it that separates it different from what you can just buy at the dealership.
Okay,
but motorcycling is in motorcycle in general to the public is you are a motorcycle rider, so you relate to specific, and Harley Davidson is American motorcycle,
right,
and it has this very specific following, so it's always neat to go to these motorcycle events and everybody comes up and wants to see your motorcycle and they can relate to a Harley Davidson. So.
Yeah. And I'm sure very reliable and a comfortable bike to ride. I'm sure.
It is a very comfortable ride. When we have our long escorts, we do one escort that starts in Indianapolis and goes all the way to the Ohio-Indiana line on I-74. We do it's a Rolling Thunder group, veterans going to Washington, D.C. Every May, we escort them down I-74 to Ohio before they continue on to D.C. And it's a long ride, but the Harley is a very comfortable motorcycle to work on for that distance and do the job right.
Well, I know I've seen, and I know you guys have various duties that you do and daily duties, but and you're talking about the escorts, but what else do you guys do on the bike?
The daily duty is traffic enforcement. We do a lot of escorts during the weekends. On Saturdays, we do a lot of motorcycle escorts, keeping large groups of motorcycles safe. You know, we've done small motorcycle escorts at 20 motorcycles, and we've done as big as 400 since I've been on. And it's a very long, stretched out motorcycle.
Well, you guys were involved with the Corvettes too.
The Corvettes we did. I think it was. I'm going to be off on the number, I think, but I want to say like 764 Corvettes that we escorted with the first motorcycle trooper escorting a first Corvette was about 45 minutes ahead of the last trooper behind the last Corvette.
And that went from all the way downtown Indy, IMS, out to Hendricks County.
It went stretched out to Danville, did a lap around Danville Town Square, then back down the Metropolis Mall in Plainfield.
Wow.
Yes.
And no incidents.
No incidents.
That's
no
excellent.
Incidents.
That's excellent. Well, so your daily duties are traffic, obviously, and the escorts. And I know a lot of times, unfortunately, you guys are involved in funerals for the officers.
Yes, we have done. We as recently in June or July, we went to Kentucky for a Kentucky State Trooper that was killed in the line of duty. We went down there and did an escort for his funeral, which was pretty unique because the state of Kentucky itself, the state police do not have motorcycles. And in fact, Lexington, Kentucky is about the only agency in the entire state that has motorcycles. So it was pretty, we played a pretty integral part in that as the Indiana State Police. We had 4 motorcycles down there.
I'm sure they were appreciative of us.
Yes.
And that was great to step
We've done them for Indianapolis Metro. We've assisted them on the couple of unfortunate funerals we've had with them recently. And when of course, we do them for our own department in the unfortunate circumstance that happens.
Well, again, you're listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers, and we're talking with Trooper Aaron Pfaff. He's with the motorcycle division, unit?
Program? Yeah, unit. Whatever, yes.
He's on a motorcycle. He's one of the motors for the Indiana State Police. So, State Fair, Indy 500, Brickyard, you guys all there?
We did not make it to the State Fair this year. Pretty busy. We did have a motorcycle on display at the State Fair, but I don't think any of us per se made it to. Yes, yeah. In fact, 2 of us made it there one day. I remember that now. Myself and Trooper Chris Harcourt, that's on motorcycles with me. We made it to the State Fair one day. But the races, if it's a big detail that we do, chances are there's going to be a couple of us there because when you have large groups of people and large numbers of vehicles packed in tight, it's easier for us to get around than it is a walking trooper or even a trooper in a car because we can slide through cars that are parked tight or on a road or even large groups of people. It's easier for us to cut through.
Well, that was about to be my next question. What are the advantages? But obviously that or even a crash on the interstate, you guys can probably get up between things a lot easier in a car.
In fact, another trooper and I went to a crash yesterday. And it was in western Hancock County, and we happened to be in eastern Marion County, and we just went out Washington Street, and of course you got all those stoplights, and cars are stopped, and they're packed, and for a trooper in a car, it would have been very difficult for them to get through those intersections. We just slide right through. In between, there's just enough room for us to cut through. Not a whole lot of margin of error, but when you got cars parked tight, we can get through where a trooper in a car cannot.
Any disadvantages?
Disadvantages. The main disadvantage is not necessarily for the department, but for me as a trooper, I don't have a computer on there. If I have to work a crash, which, like I said, I worked one yesterday, I have to do it old school with a pen and paper, writing everything down, and then later go to my computer and and do the crash report. Also, if we happen to get an arrest on a traffic stop, we either have to call for a jail wagon to come out if we're in Indianapolis, or a trooper that has a car, and unfortunately that takes that trooper out of work for a little bit because has to transport for us. So I guess that kind of is a disadvantage for the department, that we tie up on just an arrest. We tie up 2 troopers instead of 1. So,
well, I assume too one of the big disadvantages too is weather.
Weather, but we do have cars.
Okay.
For bad weather, for rain, for the snow, or for the cold, even when it gets really nasty out. That we have a car.
So do you guys ride just a certain time of the year, or how does that work out?
Generally, we're considered riding from April 1st to November, December 1st. Generally, when we put the long sleeves on, the riding's pretty much over. But if we feel we can ride in December and January, if the weather is decent enough, like the year of the Super Bowl, that January was just beautiful for Indiana January. I was not on the motorcycles at that time, but guys were out riding in January because you could. There wasn't snow, it wasn't 30 degrees. Basically, if you can stand the cold weather, you can ride, is what it is. But as soon as those roads start getting hazardous, you better be off of it, because 2 wheels don't work on ice.
So, different uniform? You guys have a different uniform for the bikes?
The upper half, from the waist up, it's the same uniform shirt, but from the waist down, our pants are more stretchy that allow us to move our legs on the motorcycle, and then our boots go to our knees, and it's not because it looks cool. It's very functional. It protects our legs from the heat of the engine. Plus, if we go down on the motorcycle, if something happens, it protects our legs from getting sliced up and getting road rash from the pavement.
I suspected if you're caught in the rain too, which I'm sure you are many times, keep some rain and stuff off of you.
It does to an extent, yeah. And just the way you ride on a motorcycle, generally, your shins are getting the brunt of the weather, and the boots do protect your legs from that. And yes, I've been wet many times on the motorcycle, and in fact, we had the governor's ride in August. Maybe it was the end of July, and once we got up just south of Fort Wayne, it just cut loose rain on us for about 10 minutes, and it got pretty wet. Lots of guys putting their rain gear on. I said, whatever, I'll just get wet and dry out, and we did. We dried out pretty quick because the weather was decent enough after that.
So what kind of specialized equipment do you guys utilize when you're on the bikes?
We have, instead of the computer for writing tickets and warnings, we have it's a Motorola is what we call it, because that's the company that manufactures it. But it is UPS and FedEx use them to scan their packages, and that's just what we do with it. It scans a driver's license registration, and it fills in the ticket or the warning, and then we click print, and it's connected to a wireless printer that prints off the citation or the warning on what looks like a receipt from a cash register, and both of them are pretty indestructible pieces of equipment. Of course, we have our helmets that have communications built into it, a microphone and speakers on each of our ear, which is actually, it's pretty neat. It's Bluetoothed to our motorcycle. So if we need to use the PA on the motorcycle, or we need to talk on the radio, we keep our both hands on the handlebars, we push a button, and we can talk. It's not, a lot of departments have a wire from the helmet that connects into the motorcycle. This way, we're not getting, if we have to get off the motorcycle quickly, we're still not connected. So we just push a button and we can talk. So.
Well, that's excellent. So that you can talk to dispatch?
Yes, talk to dispatch. On escorts, we go to a specific channel that all of us are on, so we can constantly be talking to each other, because it's, as many motorcycle riders that we've escorted have called it, it's a dance, and that's exactly what we do. And we are always talking to each other, letting each other know where we're at, or if there's a problem with other stuff, we're letting each other know, so one of us doesn't get hurt.
Well, we got about a little over a minute left here, but what kind of training did you have to have for this?
You do a 2-week course that is sponsored by Northwestern University and Harley Davidson. And I tell you what, it is the hardest thing I've ever done. I thought I was an okay motorcycle rider when I started it. After the first day or second day, I remember telling the trooper that was going through this, I said, man, I got no business being on a motorcycle, because it was so hard. But, I think it's about a 50% failure rate that don't pass that class, because it is very difficult. But luckily, both of us that went through it passed it from the Indiana State Police. So,
Great. Well, we're down and out of time, but Aaron, I appreciate you coming in and
Thank
talking
you,
to us
sir.
about the motorcycle
Thank you,
program.
sir.
That's very interesting. And when people see you out there on the highway, you get a lot of waves at you.
I do.
Good. Well, again, Trooper Aaron Pfaff talking to us about the motorcycle program for the Indiana State Police. We appreciate him being in here. You've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you again next week. Roadshow is out.